So this is session 2, and it's in solidarity with the 16 days of Orange. And I think what I've noticed since yesterday is how women's rights are viewed as a second class behind human rights, while women's rights and human rights should be basically the same thing. This is seen in terms of law. That's what I want to get into now. The law is biased. There is a fact that the law is biased when it comes to representing women, and this is mainly because the world has been ruled mostly by male or dominated by male lawmakers and policymakers. This obviously has led to a slow rise in women's rights. This is seen when you look at the Constitution. The Constitution has no real special provision for women's rights. It's considered as human rights. But most constitutions that consider them as human rights and not women's rights don't consider human rights as a part of women's rights. This doesn't make sense. I'll try to simplify it. And this is Sharia law. It is one of the greatest forms of oppression of women on this planet. Women are second-class citizens who are emerging at the moment due to a strong push by activists. They are emerging. This is seen with more women representation in parliaments, Congress across the world, and of course the few women that have actually successfully run for presidency, albeit the last one is using a proxy because she's still not allowed to be the president according to the constitution, which is something that I think she will address, and rightfully so. So it is an emerging thing. Speaking in terms of the world, obviously, I have seen that gay rights have had more of an impact on the world than women's rights. I'm not trying to be biased here, and try to say no, because women can be gay too, lesbians, and that's exactly what I'm saying. If women naturally can also have, can be attracted to the same sex as men are attracted to the same sex, then gay rights should be fully human rights. But the representation in terms of women in gay rights is still very controversial. It's dominated yet again by men, right? So women, when it comes to law, don't only need to be representatives or lawmakers, but laws need to start to adapt to a much more inclusive approach to putting women on the similar platform as men, especially since this world is mostly dominated and will be dominated by machines, or as some would call them, robots. They are machines which can be operated by anybody by just learning the basic ingenuity to it, meaning the bravado and the strength needed to accomplish tasks is beginning to fade, and women are seen, approaching a lot of male-dominated markets and being successful. We shouldn't forget that it was very rare for a woman to become a doctor. just a simple medical doctor, MD, and even more so for women to be represented when it comes to science and mathematics. And like I said yesterday, the society suppresses women when it comes to how they grow up, and this is beginning to change because we're here, right? And we're not going to wait until 2050 for women to have the same rights for our sisters, our future daughters, and granddaughters to be able to have the same privileges as we have. So, we have the time and we have the energy to focus and fight, and shout and keep on annoying people until it becomes nature, second nature. This is serious. We're not going to relent. I haven't, and I definitely won't stop. Uh, I've said it, I'm a male feminist. It sounds funny, but I think being a male feminist is just being a male humanist. It's being a balanced individual. It might seem strange to a lot of people, a lot of cultures, but it's one of the fundamentals when it comes to changing things like Sharia law, which suppresses women. Genital mutilation, the covering of the face. There are women out there, very educated, very articulate, who say, no, it's my religion, but let's not take out indoctrination. Let's say this person is put in a different environment and allowed to grow up naturally. Obviously, the difference would be there. So it needs to stop being a scapegoat now. The whole ancient cavemen, men do things better and so forth, is not only outdated, but it is harming growth, economic growth, and as well as social representation everywhere in the world. So, as people deal with this inner conflict, we will be here, pushing on, keeping on, as we even learn more and gain more ground. We will keep on pushing for fair representation of women and girls in the world, especially those that suffered indoctrination and suppression that is intertwined within law, within their constitutions, in their countries and regions around the world. I just think that a lot of these cavemen style politicians and lawmakers and illiterate brutes, they need to know that we will enforce this by any means necessary. If it means smart power, then that will happen. But we are not going to wait for 2050 for things to be balanced, for women to not be married off when they are still little girls. That is going to be against the law everywhere in the world, whether people like it or not. It's about time to start talking tough when it comes to representing women rights, and as well as eliminating gender-based violence across the world, and even in our local societies. So the bigots will always be there. Just give the bigot what they want, and they usually go. And, at most ignore them. Those that need to learn, they can learn. Those that don't want to learn, they will confirm, because this is going to be enforced and there are going to be punishments across the board. We need to punish people that are basically harming the future potential of the next generation of the world. There's no way we're going to have, imagine my great granddaughter is now the one that's going to have the privilege of being a full human being, as a woman and a girl who has protection and yet the respect of society, for her individuality, whatever she becomes, whatever she'll be. Uh, there's no way I can wait until 2050. It has to happen within our time, and it will happen within our time. We will use whatever resources we have, and what we don't have, we will borrow. But this is something that some of us have been pushing for a very long time, and it's basically life, right? So yeah.